Alright, sticky fingers, talk, Nuke said to the man on his shoulder. This man was High Inquisitor Seta, who rode Nuke while tightly bound. Or that's how the captive imagined it anyway. You think Okran will let you get away with this? Seta growled. He's let a lot worse pass. Check this out, I'll read you my little story here. The great stone curtain fell, and Rock-chan was laid bare before the playful night wind. Ah, you've got one too, said Yasuke. Seta struggled violently to escape, but he was clasped tightly in the prince's grip, and, secretly, enthralled by every mention of Yasuke's fleshy fingertips on Rock-chan's sedimentary surface. Who needs femoids when lithoids will do? It was all plenty for the Inquisitor to inquisit to himself, as he enjoyed his time in Shek custody. After rounding up the skimmers and herding them back to the hub, Nuke had ferried Seta over to Squin.
Incredible. We must inform the Queen. Stay, Kinblood, and feast with us tonight,
the Shek jailer said, but Nuke shook his head. This is just the start, he said. We'll be back with more of these pieces of shit before the wine even gets cold. The jailer laughed heartily and threw Nuke a huge bag of gold cats. The currency, remember, which amounted to a High Inquisitor's ransom precisely. Seta looked at his new captor and grimaced. You servants of the Dark Machines, you're so horny, he said. Sorry, I think he's coming down with the degeneracy parasite. Good luck, Nuke said, taking his leave. This leave was taken all the way back to the hub, where upon his 2 AM arrival, there was a clanking kerfuffle coming from outside the western gate. Nuke took a peek and found a skeleton balled up on the road, leaking machine juice. New man, looks like it's your turn for some non-consensual action, Nuke called.
Well, who wouldn't be seduced by a line like that?
Rick commented. He wandered over and took a look at the ball of black metal.
Shit, it's Twitch. Let me sort you out, you old jukebox.
Rick grabbed tools and oils from the Garu bags and restored the poor bot's buzz.
Ah, shit on a shuttle bus. What the fuck's all this?
Twitch moaned.
Squad Twitch, what are you doing here dying in the road like a common biological?
Rick asked.
What the? How'd you get the General's ping, Fleshy? It's me, Red Rick. Don't mind the getup. I mind it, you flappy fool. Your problem now, then? What's your story? It's been hard, Rick. After you got cut and paste to BDS, everything got real dull. Then the biologicals rebelled, and I kinda joined them. You know, bit of action, and they'll do anything for you. Anything. Man, I know exactly what you mean. You get him to do that thing with the,
Rick made a series of quick hand gestures.
Holy stove, that's the shit, isn't it? Anyway, ended up in a little trouble. Fucking Catlon sending the spiders after me. There was one right here, blindsided me. Doesn't forget a grudge, that old bucket, eh? Nope, not at all. You better stick with us. You remember Agnew and Neil? The Mad Dog and Major Wacky Backy. Couldn't forget them if I wanted to. You still remember the forbidden stuff? We all remember the forbidden stuff, but we've got a plan for that. Come on.
Thus, Twitch became another pillar for the transit of the skimmer homunculus the next morning. The lump was dragged northeast back into the Naish, this time heading up a mountain road towards the interior of the Holy Nation, the land known as Okran's Gulf. On the way, they came across another mining camp beside the road.
Not worth waking the skimmers up, I'd say,
Isaiah commented.
The skim friends aren't very scary when they're asleep, though,
Els said. That's not true, Egg Stench, Izumi said.
They're more afraid of you than you are of them.
Of you specifically. Let's just send in the egg and the Okranites will shit themselves all the way back to Earth.
Princess Izumi, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Don't neg the egg,
Isaiah said.
I'm not that scary, am I?
Els muttered, looking down at his rotundity. Scarily good at things like skimmer whispering, Elena assured him. Hard to argue with that. A few half-awake skimmers lazily hissed and pouted at the mine's guards, but mainly the guild took them out the old-fashioned way, albeit with the very new fashion of wearing life-size skimmer backpacks while doing so. Then Nuke was up in the slave quarters making his usual sales pitch. Come one, come all, take this once-in-a-daytime chance to be recruited into the fabulous TCM Plusity Pouts Guild. We put the do in overdose. Criminal background? No problem. Whatever you got arrested for doing, I'll pay you to do it. Well, I say pay. It's a very complicated system of compensation that puts the very in slavery. Well, he got one, which I suppose is within the margin of error for the prediction of 0. With the rest of the miners liberated, the guild carried on northeast, passing through a big rocky arch and down a hill towards a wide river. This river was something rather special. Around it, the ground was covered in yellowish mosses, with bushes and trees springing up from it here and there. The waterway snaked north through canyons and valleys, creating a colourful band of life amidst the arid wastes. Yet, unlike the Great Swamp, this lively scene wasn't one that plunged you to your death with a single misstep, or one that seared off your skin at the merest touch. No, this place was the one spot on the unfinished planet that was suitable for civilization. Too bad it was the Holy Nation who had laid claim to it.
The Promised Land. There's no end to it,
Sandor muttered.
To think the Holy Nation has such bountiful territories. Why are they not cultivated?
Wadston asked. Easy, Pia said. They got an old policy. Only make enough food for those above the rank as servant. Slaves can't get strong without food, and they can't even steal food if it doesn't exist. Works like a charm, huh? Since those fucking nobles think reproducing is as good as getting biobashed by the robos, they don't really need that much food. So thousands of years are nothing out here in the only place people can actually stand. Good news for the river raptors, I guess. It's just one gorilla shit thing after another with these holy hogs, Nuke said. Right, see that place over there? We're gonna conquer the shit out of it and grow wheat by the river. Let's get this bread. A noble plan, but there was a big problem. The bread was already firmly in the hands of another. As the guild walked up the road towards the Holy Nation market town of Bad Teeth, 2 companies of Shek soldiers came down it the other way. Their carefully spaced formations stomped to a halt and drew their weapons upon seeing the horrible sight of the skimmer ball, but Isaiah rushed forward to explain the situation. Almost at once, the Shek bowed to their prince.
Isaiah Battleborn, you honor us,
their leader said.
We can never be forgiven for stealing this honor from you. Please, punish us at once.
Is it all done? How did you get there anyway?
Isaiah said.
Queen Astarte is no fool. She will not let the Shek kingdom be idle in this time of war. We have done what needs to be done. But if we had known that you sought that pleasure yourself, we would never have dared.
Oh, that's fine. I'm tired of lugging these beasts around anyway. Everyone, seems we've been out-shecked here.
Indeed, these soldiers had shecked Bad Teeth bottom to top. The holy garrison was long gone. The statue of the Holy Phoenix beside the main thoroughfare was eating sand, and Shek merchants were already unloading Garus to set up shop. That saves time. Rather than battle then, the guild got to rest up within guarded walls and get first dibs on Choco Bread supply contracts. But the anticlimax would not do, especially for the 1,000 Guardians, so the next morning they wandered on to the northeast yet further. The mountains gave way to a grey plain littered with struggling little trees, and across this there was a Holy Nation fortification. This too was no fun, as it had already been abandoned. The nation was shrinking rapidly, and big old Okran up in the sky seemed as disinterested as ever. Where had the devotees gone wrong? Too much cleavage? Not enough? Okran's will was a mystery. Indeed, he kept his cards close to his otherwise unclothed chest. On the northwest edge of that dull expanse, there was a large fortification built around a big sandstone tower. It was a mining complex and military way station, crawling with slavers, guards, and would-be hemp haberdashers. I say would-be. As usual, after the guild suddenly rolled in and broke open the slave pens, They came off a little too weird, scary, stinky, and other meaner adjectives. But just think about it, this is your chance to start a new life like these guys, Nuke claimed, pointing out at the homunculus. It's very warm inside the ball, he added. Again, he somehow got one taker, but perhaps that was some mistake. Then again, the degeneracy parasite works in mysterious ways. Now, so far it had been another mine and dash affair, but this time the Naish had a secret weapon. While the guild was milling about waiting to leave, a voice echoed out from the hills the mine sat astride.
Hark! Who dares defy the milky face of Okran? Let's see how you like a taste of your own medicine. Or should I say, Dedison? Bah! Bah! Squaw!
Those final noises came across like bird calls, and with that, silence returned.
That's a Naish accent. Is Rickard doing another show?
Isaiah asked. No idea. Maybe we better wrap the product recalling up fast, Izumi said. But it was already too late. The ground started to shake. The camp gate rattled and the prisoner cages shuddered. From outside, a stampede of bulls stormed up the road from the west and rammed their way into the mine.
Now that's some bullshit,
Rick quipped as he was sent reeling to the ground. For the lightweight humans, the impacts did more than just knock them over. The chaos released and awoke many a skimmer, and quickly the two species were battling, horn to tooth. These creatures have been befouled, a simulated association, was Gustafsson's analysis, given just before he was launched over the mine wall.
Unworthy,
his fading voice called as he went. Shit, have they got our secrets? Nuke said. Impossible. Only we know. Wait, Agent Hammer. What if he's some kind of spy? Izumi said. You mean like an agent? Oh shit, this is terrible. Not really, the skimmers will deal with it. No, I mean, I've been such an idiot. That machine was using me. You are very useful. Now is not the time, Nuke. Let me know when it is. Fucking hells. Let's just stay alive. If you insist. The Battle of the Beasts went in the guild's favour, luckily enough, but it was no clean victory. Bulls are heavy and their horns are sharp, so the mine had to be turned into an impromptu hospital and skimmer rescue centre to fulfill Princess Azumi's stay alive stratagem.
Thought you said I'd be safe if I stick with you,
Twitch said to Rick.
Yeah, we got all kinds of dumbass shit going on here, but it's perfectly safe,
Rick replied, finishing the reapplication of his squishy chest pudge.
Don't worry too much, Twitchy. He's helping us out, you know.
Neil said.
And is killing fleshies, which apparently is going out of fashion, so we gotta make the most of this last century. Aye, I heard ya, but I've been making the most of the last 2K, and the most I got was a beating from a Spider-Man and a ban from the city. Should've stayed with you, sir. Nah, being on the road makes things easy. Get stuck in a cage like Agnew, and you can't help but think about stuff. Trust me, you got it made, man. Take your word for it, you flesh-wearing freak.
Sometime in the afternoon of the following day, St. Charlie's Hospital for Skimmed Skimmers and Dr. Wadston's No Credit, Yes Problem Triage and Debt Structuring Clinic were closed, and the guild carried on their campaign. They went northeast towards the Empire, and found two of the hopeless slaves released the previous day now willing to join the Skimball Collective to get some of that advertised warmth. With more feet meat on the beat, they carried on. Ahead of them there was a gravelly hill with a plateau on top, and on top of that, a big Second Empire tower. Its base was ringed with walls and Holy Nation patrols. Military base. But what's that Second Empire thing? Okran hates that stuff, right? Izumi said. Yeah, well, people don't always tell the truth, especially about what Okran does or don't hate, Pia said. Could it be that they are protecting that facility from their own people? Wadston suggested. Just blow it up then, Nuke said. Not if they believe their own waffle, Izumi said. Never known a waffle to lie. They probably don't dare go inside, but someone sometime decided that whatever's actually in there must never be seen. So you know what that means?
It must be seen,
Isaiah cheered. Pretty much. Hunters, we've got another job. Wait, Izzy, gotta get through the hogs first. And that's a job for Commander Egg's Grubby Friends Battalion.
Dinner time!
Els called, and at once the skimmer ball writhed to life, its carriers fleeing and cringing with equal intensity. While the skimmers scratched their way up the hillside for a warm-up, Wadston geared up in his tried-and-tested Holy Nation disguise to gather intel. Just like at Stack, when he walked up to the fort's gates, the guards were delighted to hear that no one was worried about anything in particular. The old gentleman hence noted down the rows of barrack houses, tall watchtowers, racks of weapons and armour, and absence of any common folk. It was indeed a military base, quite the hassle to break into, but would it be worth it? To know, Wadston had to check the Second Empire Tower out. The soldiers had locked the gate leading up to it, but that didn't make too much difference at the end of the day. It was 1 AM, by the way, so the timing was perfect. "Oh, mate, not trying to break into the Tower of Unholy Secrets, are ya?" a guard called out. "No worries," Wadston replied with a gleaming smile. "Nah, just checking the locks, aren't ya? Course, true blue. Now where was I? Send me through time, whatever, it's all fine, but I'm gonna keep my junk, alright?" As the guard wandered off into the rainy night, singing away, Wadston edged the gate open and slipped over to check these unholy secrets. Proof that the Naish hadn't been in there was forthcoming, as the tower was guarded by security spiders. That doubled as proof that the good stuff was surely waiting deeper inside. Seeing that his crimes were not generating any worries thus far, Wadston decided to pull a cheeky one. Back outside, the skimmers were hissing away just beyond the reach of the lights along the walls. Wadston went out, tapped 2 of them to follow him, and then led them right back to the gate. "Asked you again. What are these 2 hivers?" the guard asked. Well, you already know what Wadston said in response, and you already know the extent to which Wadston was let inside the fort with 2 bloodthirsty skimmers in tow. He was about to go back to get more, but he made one crucial mistake. You see, in the meantime, he hid the skimmers in a little shed towards the rear, but then as he went to leave, a guard saw him coming out of the shed with 2 purring beasts inside, and assumed the worst.
"Succubi! Seductress creatures! Fug! Give me a fucking go! Fug! Kill them or something!"
This call raised the alarm. Wadston had to act fast. He pulled a loaf of brown from his bag, crumbled it up in his hands, then tossed a cloud of crumbs into the air. The night wind took their scent and drew it all around, flaring the nostrils of all nearby skimmers and Shek. Before the Naish knew it, their little base was being swarmed with unholy creatures, and those so-called succubi were a little rough, to put it lightly. Armoured men poured out of the barrack houses, then poured back in, shrieking loudly, then found ways to shriek even louder when it turned out some of the skimmers could just about squeeze through the doors and get inside. And to make matters worse, these smaller skim friends were the femoid ones. Those that avoided death at the hands of Makase or Nadeshko still ended up in a similar situation at the less metaphorical hands of the Thousand Guardians, and indeed the rest of the guild who filed into the fray behind them. At one point, a guard managed to single out poor Beep and threw her against a wall.
"Fucking filthy bugs! You'll get what's coming to ya!"
he raged, but then there was a whistle and a 2-foot bolt of metal rammed through the back of his head.
"The only thing that's coming is me!" Gustafsson shouted.
The guard fell, and Beep saw the prince standing with his long 4-armed crossbow hanging at his waist.
"Beep! I'm so glad you were coming!"
Beep said.
"It's only with your help that I can achieve this,"
Gustafsson nodded.
"Fucking
Nuke moaned nearby, rushing off to find something to stab. By morning, the base was subdued, with a few surviving Okranites chained up in their barracks. Taking out nation troops is good and all, but the actual fight was the one that followed, as Isaiah led the Guardians to clear the tower of its spider problem. Handily, only a few were still active. Clearly some had been dispatched by overly curious Naish folk in the past. The place was full of the usual useful machinery and salvage, but the biggest prize was in a library on the top floor.
"Narco's nose ring!
No, Okran's bloody bolts! This stuff is from over 1,000 years ago, the beginning of the Holy Nation! Izumi shouted. And here we are at the end. How poetic, Nuke said. Look, it's the Second Empire talking about the worshippers of Okran, the spirit of Earth.
Wait, you say Bogran?
Rick said. No, Okran.
Well, about the time I was shipped out, some of the humans had this dumb thing about pretending to worship this guy, Bogran, which was like this general name for Earth Clan people. Just doing it to piss us off. Always doing that shit during the Stope memorials. This whole thing, guess it's just that, but weirder. Dozen centuries will do that.
This is amazing. We can use this to agitate the whole nation, Pia said. Can you get this all written up, real easy to read, Princess? I guess. Are people just going to unironically call me Princess now, by the way? Izumi said. Of course, Your Majesty, Wadston was quick to reply. Fine. Yes, we have to get this written up. All this directly proves that the Holy Fire is wrong. Holy Fire? Nuke asked. It's their book, you must have seen it. Words only book. Yes, all their people have them. They're in every room, on every corpse. Words only though, so... sorry. It's their whole basis for believing stuff. It says that Okran created the world when he and his cat-human thing... Actually, it was clearly inspired by the classics, which makes sense if it was written during the withdrawal of the Second Empire. Holy Fire? More like Holy Liar, Nuke burst out. No one really reacted, but at least they had a title for their agitprop now.
Holy Phoenix? More like Jabroni Kleenex,
Rick attempted.
What? I wasn't programmed for comedy, which makes the other stuff I say even funnier. Now let's just get back to the printing presses and start laundering blasphemy on an industrial scale, huh?
It was a fine idea. So the guild gathered up all kinds of nice evidence on the transition from Second Empire rule to Holy Nation ascendancy, including all the spicy details on how it was all, to quote one ancient report, just a prank, and went on their way. The plan was to head vaguely east to get back into the Empire, but as it happened, the Holy Nation had another High Inquisitor, who was not only very unhappy with the whole Setter affair, but had an army waiting on the road the guild needed to take. They'd have to fight their way out of the decreasingly holy nation in the name of truth, or at the very least, the name of comedy. The decisive battle was nigh.